The diner was buzzing with the clatter of forks and the hum of conversations when the door creaked open, letting in a cool draft from the late afternoon breeze. At first, no one paid much attention, just another customer stepping in. But when a small girl, no older than 12, rolled inside in a wheelchair, every set of eyes turned, if only for a moment. Her bright brown eyes darted around nervously as if she was already used to being stared at. She was petite, frail-looking, with brown hair tied back neatly, and a soft pink sweater that hung a little too loosely on her thin frame. Her mother walked closely behind her, gently adjusting the straps of the chair, whispering something that made the girl smile shyly. At a booth near the corner, 3 teenagers snickered. They weren't whispering quietly either. "Look at her wheels," one of them laughed, nudging his friend. "Does it come with turbo speed?" Another mimicked the sound of a car engine, revving loudly. The third leaned back in his seat, loud enough for half the diner to hear, "Hey! Don't crash into anyone, wheelchair girl." The laughter rang out, cruel and sharp. The girl's smile instantly disappeared, her eyes dropping to her lap as her cheeks flushed red. Her mother stiffened, whispering for her to ignore them, but the damage was done. Every cruel word echoed in that little girl's head like a scar she'd carry long after the moment had passed. That's when the heavy rumble of motorcycles outside broke the scene. The ground seemed to vibrate as several bikers, all dressed in leather vests with patches that read Iron Brotherhood riders, pulled into the lot. They were rough-looking men, the kind who drew stares wherever they went, tattoos running down their arms, heavy boots, and long beards. They walked in with the commanding presence of men who didn't ask for respect, for they demanded it. The diner grew quiet as the bikers filled the entrance. The teenagers who had been laughing grew stiff, suddenly unsure. The leader, a tall man with silver streaks in his beard and a scar across his cheek, noticed the silence in the air. He followed the glances, his eyes narrowing when he spotted the young girl in the wheelchair, her trembling hands clutching her sweater. He didn't need anyone to explain what had happened, he had seen that look of humiliation before, too many times. He and his crew sat down, but instead of ordering, he leaned back and locked eyes with the bullies' booth. The kids tried to avoid his gaze, fidgeting nervously, but the leader wasn't one to let things slide. In a voice that carried across the diner, deep and unshakable, he asked, "Which one of you thought it was funny to laugh at that little girl?" The room froze. The bullies shifted in their seats, muttering excuses, but the leader stood and walked over, towering above them. His shadow alone seemed to swallow the booth. "Listen here," he growled, "I don't care how tough you think you're when you're picking on someone who can't fight back. Real strength, real courage, is standing with the ones who are hurting, not against them." One of the teens stammered, "We were just joking." "Joking?" or the biker shot back. "Tell me, did she laugh?" His voice was so sharp that the kid dropped his head in shame. The diner watched in silence as the bikers turned their attention to the girl. The leader knelt beside her wheelchair, softening his voice completely. "Hey sweetheart," he said gently, "don't you listen to a word they said. You're stronger than they'll ever be." The girl's eyes welled up with tears, but this time, it wasn't from shame. For the first time that day, she felt seen, protected. Her mother's lips trembled with gratitude, whispering a quiet thank you. The bikers didn't stop there. One of them pulled a small teddy bear keychain off his vest and handed it to the girl, saying, "Every rider needs a mascot. Now you've got one too." Another biker jokingly flexed his arm and said, "You're part of the Iron Brotherhood now. And trust me, nobody messes with us." The girl giggled softly, holding the keychain close as if it were a medal of honor. The bullies shrank in their seats, their faces pale with embarrassment. When the bikers finally left, the roar of their engines echoed like a warning, one the teens wouldn't soon forget. But the real change wasn't in the bullies, it was in the girl. As the diner watched her smile return, the atmosphere shifted from heavy silence to something almost electric. The customers began smiling at her, nodding with encouragement. Strangers who had been too afraid to speak before now whispered kind words as they passed by her table. The mother leaned down and kissed the top of her daughter's head, whispering, "See? You're not alone. The world has more good people than bad." The little girl looked at the bikers disappearing into the horizon and whispered back, "They made me feel brave, Mom." And that was the truth. That day wasn't just about bullies being silenced, it was about a little girl learning that kindness, courage, and strength could come from the most unexpected places. The bikers didn't just defend her, they gave her something no cruel word could ever take away, her confidence. The diner would talk about that afternoon for years to come, not because of the bullies, but because a group of rough, leather-wearing men reminded everyone what true strength looks like, protecting the vulnerable, lifting others up, and leaving a mark not with fear but with love.